Well, good evening, everyone. Thank you for coming. I am Paul Peterson. I'm the director of the Program on Education Policy and Governance here at the Kennedy School. We've been around for nearly 25 years. We're going to celebrate our 25th this coming year. We published the journal Education Next. There's a copy out there. I hope you'll pick it up. You can also see a description of our program out there in our annual report we just put together for the 2020 annual report. So please feel free to take a copy if you're interested. So one of the things that our program has been interested in for the entire existence of the program has been vouchers or tax credits. I guess we didn't know about tax credits in 1995 when we first got going. We thought about school vouchers. And we got involved in a research project in New York City which looked at the effectiveness of a school voucher program in New York City. And we actually have followed those young people. When we started, they were just going to kindergarten, first grade, second, third, fourth grade. And then we followed them, and now we know which ones went to college and which ones graduated from college, which is what you really want to know. You want to know what are some of the life outcomes for people who have an experience that is different than it would have been had there not been a program that provided resources for their education. And the resources in this case were being provided by a private group of philanthropists. So it wasn't really a public program we were looking at, but it was nonetheless a program that was giving students a choice of a private school in New York City. And they were basically low-income students who were attending public schools who were very disadvantaged. We found that the effects were the greatest for that group of students who were had moderate resources. They were below the median income. They were eligible for free and reduced lunch, but they weren't extremely impoverished. And we found that for minority students who had at least some resources, this could double the chances or nearly double the chances that they would get a college degree. So even though it was a modest program, it really shows the impact of giving people this kind of opportunity. So I think it's really superb that the Institute of Justice has been willing to fight to broaden these kinds of opportunities. They brought a case back in the year 2000, 2001, which eventually gets to the Supreme Court in 2002, I believe it is, the Zellman case, which found that school vouchers in Cleveland, Ohio were in fact constitutional, despite the fact that many people had alleged that any time the government provides assistance to disadvantaged families to select a broader range of institutions than just the local district school. Many people thought that was an unconstitutional support of religion. So that was an extremely important case that was argued by the Institute of Justice. And now we have this issue coming up again in a new way. And this time the issue is coming up in the state of Montana, where a tax credit program has been enacted into law, a very modest tax credit program, but one that raises a very large constitutional principle. Can the state of Montana say that a tax credit program is unconstitutional under its own constitution? And its own constitution is quite explicit on it. I think it's probably can be easily argued that it is unconstitutional under its own constitution, but it raises the question, is this constitutional provision actually itself constitutional under the U.S. Constitution and the Free Exercise Clause of the First Amendment, which says that people shall have the right to freely exercise their religious beliefs. So that's an interesting case. It's a new idea out there. And I won't go into the details because that's what you're going to hear from the speakers today. But I think it's a very compelling case, and it's one that we here in our program at Harvard think is of critical significance. So I am so pleased that the Pioneer Institute has been able to bring some of the principles involved in this decision, or this case that's going to be decided by the Supreme Court this term. So the principals are going to be here to discuss the topic with you. And of course, none of this would happen without Jamie Gass, who has so much energy and commitment to education reform here in Massachusetts and elsewhere. He's the director of the Center for School Reform at the Pioneer Institute. And he has worked assiduously on so many issues there that if I got into this in detail, then we wouldn't have any time to talk about anything else. But he has been the spark plug for the efforts to sustain charter schools here in Massachusetts. And he's also tried to lay the groundwork for getting around some of the constitutional provisions in the Massachusetts Constitution, which may themselves be in violation of the U.S. federal Constitution's Free Exercise Clause. So I'm honored to have this opportunity to introduce Jamie to you all, and he will then explain the rest of the program. So welcome, Jamie, to the podium.